Hello my dear students, welcome back to my class. Today I have come here with a new chapter, and the name of the chapter is Tony and the Dog, and also the serial number of this chapter would be chapter number 3. Okay, so before I get into the chapter, I would like to write the name of the chapter, and also we find there are characters, the main characters of the chapters. I would like to write here in the board as well. So the name of the chapter number 3 and the name of the chapter is Tony and the Dog. Alright, so now I have to write the characters, some of the characters of the chapter. So Tony, there you find Tony, Manish and the dog. Okay, these are the characters we find in this chapter. So let's start the chapter. Tony was a very troublesome boy. Tony was a very annoying boy. Okay, he always loved to tease others. Okay, he used to love irritate others. Tony used to love irritate others. Okay, once Manish his friend had a little pet dog that was very playful and clever too. Once Manish had a pet dog. Here we can see Tony, Manish and the dog. Once Manish had a pet dog. Here the what I am not talking about the dog, but we find generally outside our house. For instance, on the road, outside our houses, we see different kinds of dogs. But I'm here. We are not talking about the stray dogs. Okay, stray dogs. We are talking about the pet dog. The dog what we keep in our home. Okay, this is called what? Pet dog. So Manish had a pet dog. That dog was very much fun-loving and clever too, smart too. Okay. Tony wanted to steal it and harm it, but always, all the time, Tony wanted to kidnap the dog, that pet dog, that Manish dog, and wanted to harm it, wanted to damage that pet dog all the time. One day in the science class, the teacher said something interesting. One day, along with the other students, both Manish and Tony were in the class. They were in the science class, and in that class the teacher was teaching something very much interesting. The teacher was explaining something very much interesting. What? She said, if we sit in a closed room, we will suffocate. Here the word suffocate means choke. Okay, then we will not be able to breathe. Okay, so the teacher said that if we close ourselves, if we lock ourselves in a closed room, okay, definitely each and every room you will find some doors and windows. Okay, if we lock them, if we close all the doors and windows, and if we keep ourselves in that room, then we will feel suffocate. We will not be able to breathe properly. We will not be able to breathe properly. Understood? The carbon dioxide we breathe out would fill the room, and there is no way for the oxygen to come in. So before that, one more thing is what? To survive in this world, we need what? We need oxygen. Without oxygen, we cannot survive. Without oxygen, we cannot survive at all. Okay? So, if we lock ourselves in a closed room, then there will be no way. There will be no way for the oxygen to come in, to get in. If the carbon dioxide content is more in the air, it will be very dangerous. If the amount of carbon dioxide becomes more and more, then it would be very dangerous for us. This is what the teacher explained up to this, that if we lock ourselves, if we keep ourselves in a closed room, okay, then we will feel suffocate. We won't be able to breathe properly, and as a result of which we the amount of carbon dioxide will become more and more, and there will be no way for the oxygen to get in. So, and that will be very dangerous for us. That will be very dangerous. That is very risky for us. Tony went out of the class to drink water, and suddenly he had an idea. In between the class, during the class, Tony went out of the class for what? To drink water. And while going, he got an idea. All of a sudden, he got an idea. And what was that idea? We'll get here. If I take Manish's dog and keep him in the glass house where plants are kept, he will die from lack of oxygen. Tony got an idea that if he keep the dog in a glass house where the plants are kept, you just to remember one thing, where plants are kept, then the dog would die from the lack of oxygen. For the scarcity of the oxygen, the dog would die eventually. This is what he thought. What he thought when he was going out to drink water. All of a sudden, he got that idea. Next morning, Tony stole the pup and locked it in the glass house. In the next morning, what did he do? According to his plan, he went Manish's house and stole the pup. Okay, just steal it. Understand not? Kidnapped the pet dog and kept the dog according to plan wise. He kept the dog in the glass house where the plants are kept. He felt very pleased with himself. After keeping the dog inside the glass house, he felt very much happy with himself. The next day, he went to Manish's house, hoping to see Manish crying. On the very next day, he went to Manish's house, expecting to see Manish is crying. He was expecting that Manish will be crying. Manish will be crying. But to his surprise, Manish was playing happily with his pup. But the result was completely different. Opposite. Understand what I say? The result was completely different. Here we see that Manish was playing with his puppy happily. Seeing this, Tony fully amazed, sees that Manish is playing with his pup peacefully, happily. So he was fully surprised. He was fully surprised seeing that the Manish is playing with his puppy. Manish looked at Tony's face and smiled. Your plan did not succeed, Tony. As soon as Tony reached Manish's house, Manish started laughing at Tony's face and said, "What? Your plan did not succeed. Your plan did not work. It didn't work the way you thought. It didn't work the way you thought. But Tony, it might have it if you had not locked up my dog in the glass house during the day. But it could have worked." Instead, what Tony said, he said it could have worked if you had locked up the dog in a glass house during the day. During the daytime, if you had locked up the dog, then it could have worked. But the teacher said, if there is not enough oxygen in the room, the person would die, said Tony. Now Tony was completely confused. How can that be possible? How can the dog survive? All these questions keep on coming in his mind. So he replied, how can that be possible? But the teachers in the class that explained in the class that if a person keep himself in a locked room, he would die due to the lack of oxygen, due to the scarcity of the oxygen. How can that be possible? You heard only half of what the teacher told us, said Manish. Now Manish replied that, my dear friend, you heard only the 50% what the teacher explained to us, what the teacher learned to us. You heard only 50%. She also told us the plants take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen during the day. Now Manish replied The rest 20% what the teacher explained to us was that the plants take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen during the day. Take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen during the day. Understand or not? So that in simply we can say that the plants take carbon dioxide and give out oxygen during the day. Okay. Now the question may comes in our mind that from where do we get oxygen? We get oxygen from plants. But where did the carbon dioxide that the dog breathed out go? Asked Tony and puzzled. As I said, he was very much confused. How can that be possible? Now again he asks a question, one more question to Manish, that where did the carbon dioxide that the dog breathed out? Where did the amount of carbon dioxide gone? Where the dog gave out, breathed out? Understand or not? The plants took it. Now Manish replied that the amount of carbon dioxide what the dog gave out, all of them taken by whom? Taken by the trees, and gave out oxygen that kept the dog alive, and gave out oxygen that kept the dog alive, survived. Manish explained, giving the dog a hug. While hugging his hug, he was explaining all these things to Manish, to Tony. Tony felt ashamed of himself. Afterwards, Tony felt very much guilty. Okay, it had been a very cruel idea. So he thought it had been a very inhuman activity what he did. Thank God the dog has survived. Thank God the God is all right. Okay, still alive. He left Manish's house promising never again to play such a trick. Eventually he realized that he did a very bad thing. Okay, very inhuman thing. What? Very cruel thing he did. So before he left the Manish house, he made a promise that in his life he will never ever do such type of things again in his life. So this is all about this chapter. I want every one of you to read this chapter again and again. Until then, study well, be happy, but don't trouble your mother and father. Okay, bye, have a good day. Thank you everyone.